For anyone applying to open jobs in the market right now, the process often feels like an endless, inescapable maze. Candidates are regularly put through 6 or 7 rounds of interviews over several months. They are often asked to put together extensive strategic presentations, usable transformation work that the company takes for free. And after committing all that time and unpaid labor, those same candidates frequently come in second place to an internal referral or someone already connected to the CEO. From the ground level, the hiring landscape feels hostile. As many job seekers describe it today, the market is completely cooked. But if you ask the institutions managing the macroeconomy, you hear a very different story. At the top level, official data shows the national unemployment rate holding steady at a remarkably low percentage. Economists looking at the exact same landscape that frustrates job seekers actually describe the current dynamic as a favorable near-term situation. We currently exist in a space where nobody is getting fired, yet almost nobody can get hired. This scale represents what economists call the break-even rate of employment. It measures the exact amount of job creation required to absorb new entrants into the labor market and keep the unemployment rate perfectly stable. Right now, aging demographics mean that older workers are continually retiring from the workforce, permanently removing active participants from the labor pool. Combine that with a slowdown in immigration inflows, and the overall growth rate of the labor force shrinks. A smaller pool of new entrants lowers the need for companies to create additional jobs just to maintain that stable unemployment rate. Because the labor pool is tight, employers are choosing to hold on to their existing talent rather than risk losing them. Hiring has slowed down, but so have layoffs. This widespread reluctance to let existing staff go places a firm floor under the economy, preventing upward spikes in the unemployment rate. This low-hire, low-fire environment perfectly suits the Federal Reserve. With the unemployment rate naturally holding steady, the central bank has little impetus to stimulate job creation, permitting them to focus almost entirely on fighting inflation. This careful holding pattern is a sharp contrast from the Great Resignation of 2021, when companies were desperate for headcount, remote work dominated, and high salaries were common. This line graph illustrates the shift that killed that era of aggressive expansion. Beginning in 2022, interest rates spiked, forcing startups and major corporations alike to heavily scrutinize where they spent their capital. At the same time, massive investments in AI and automation gave companies a new way to operate. Physical and digital infrastructure began to replace the need to expand human teams. The corporate focus became incredibly simple: execute as much work as possible using the absolute minimum amount of headcount. To maintain this efficiency, companies raised their hiring standards. They now prefer to leave roles unfilled for months, putting a few candidates through exhausting vetting processes, rather than make a quick hire. The low-hire environment is a deliberate mathematical strategy used by businesses to protect their margins while operating under expensive economic conditions. This structural freeze has outlasted typical post-crisis recovery cycles and standard recessionary dips. The brief window for easy job hopping and the rapid pay bumps that defined the recent past has officially closed. Economists call this state a somber equilibrium, a landscape where macro stability comes at the cost of micro mobility. Because the top-down macroeconomic picture remains technically healthy and unemployment stays low, there is no pressure on the Federal Reserve or the government to step in and stimulate hiring. Job seekers have to adjust to these conditions. Cold applying to online portals rarely works when most positions are filled by internal referrals. Building a direct network inside the company is now a required cost of entry. The labor market has developed into a closed loop, protecting those already inside while raising the barrier for those trying to enter. To survive it, you have to stop knocking on the front door and find a way in through the back.